So, sellers, this is for you. There are many requests that we get from our seller clients after showings to get feedback from the showing agent on how the showing went and perhaps, why the buyer didn't make a buying decision. It has long been our opinion here that asking your agent for feedback is really racing in the wrong lane or running the wrong race. And I'll explain why. First of all, when your agent is trying to, let's back up a second. Let's put ourselves in the buyer agent's shoes. The buyer agent is showing a buyer probably multiple properties, and they're going to go to as many properties as they can, make as many offers as they can until they find an accepted offer where they'll get a contract and get the property closed and done. The buyer agent does not have time, if they do 5 or 10 showings in a day, to have a terribly long conversation or even have a short conversation with the listing agents on how things went. Understand this: the only feedback that matters on your property is an offer. Everything else is kind of either a diversion away from for your agent from doing something that'll actually get the property sold, or it's an exercise in objection handling that is futile. So understand, when a buyer makes an offer on a property, they're doing it because lots of times it just feels like home. It's not because it checked every single box. It's not because it hit every single criteria. It just feels like home. And it's the same thing for when they pass on a property or elect to not make an offer on a property. It just didn't feel like home. Sometimes if we do give feedback or we get feedback, it's something we already know. Like, you already know if your property has a driveway with a 60-degree incline. You already know if you have a property that backs up to an interstate. These are things that, probably aren't new to you. So when we tell a home seller something that they already know it. So this puts the listing agent into a spot where they might want to have a discussion with the buyer agent to see if they can handle the objection. Now, even if we were brilliant and just amazing with our oral, soliloquies, we're not going to convince the buyer agent to convince the buyer to make an offer on a property that they don't have an emotional connection to. And feedback like we don't have an emotional connection to it isn't really going to help anybody. So understand, if you're a seller and there's a showing and there's no offer, that's all the feedback you need. It is very, very rare for sellers to get feedback they don't already know. And it is a time waster, quite bluntly, to send your listing agent out looking for feedback when they could be doing other things to sell your property to someone who actually cares enough to make an offer. Feedback is running the wrong race. Hate to tell you this. I know it feels good to get feedback and feel like your agent is working. Believe me, your agent is working. Feedback is running the wrong race.